grams weighing. I don't even bed no hoes, my ribs stay in. Try to keep them humble and never run in the streets. My kids speaking Hebrew, so you know that I teach. It's hard, gotta hold on, trying to keep up the peace. I'm waiting on your son to return and cut off the beast. Till then, I'ma be in war mode and face east. I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I take it. That's why I don't slow down no more, and I don't blaze it. Satan still want me back, he gotta face it. Smoke don't touch these lungs, I'm feeling strong again. Lost a couple LBs, even started to jog again. I get suited up now, and I ain't talking about cardigans. Boots laced up and gear ready for battle. The enemy is missing the load, but I ain't ready.
I got you.
I'm seeing lost niggas in these groups on the tour. You could have put me with them, yeah, that's mercy from you. You put me in front of Jimmy, you're hiding and I can't lose. You took a drug dealer that probably should make the news and turned into a prophet. My family is still confused. It seemed they like the old me best. Sorry to say, I ain't gotta drop an old me left. So I pray that the slave master see death every day. I hear the bell tolling, hope I'm the one chosen. When that chariot swing low, Lord, let me roll it.
We're doing this for YAHAWAH and YAHAWAH. Go to war for our people like Mordecai. I'm sorry for my sins and I deserve to die, but please swing low, sweet chariot, cause I wanna ride. Every day is a struggle just to stay alive. It's dark and hell is hot and I don't wanna feel the fire. I'm sorry for my sins and I deserve to die, but please swing low, sweet chariot, cause I wanna ride. Well, come on. Won't you please swing low, sweet chariot? Won't you please swing low, sweet chariot? What you know about sacrifice? Nothing they bluffing. These niggas perpetrators, man, they got the shit is disgusting. I put my time in. Why they ain't even applying? Through all the pain, hate, confusion, and the lying, I stay grinding with the heart of a lion. The storm through the storm till I found that silver lining. Without no pressure, there's no diamonds. I walk straight into the furnace of affliction for refining. Came along with the stash of bills when I heard the sirens getting higher. Hold up, moment of silence. Just a moment, y'all. Yeah, cause that man is dead in deceit. Gained knowledge down beat, shook the mark of the beast. Only fear God and not another man who bleeds. And if you roll with me, you already know my speed. I come through, give a death, and holler what up, priest. Then I'm quick to chop a Christian with ease. Then I go put the sword back in the street. I got one life to live, so I'm playing for keeps. So I be dropping shit like the towers. All my haters sours, you ain't no cowards. Niggas swear they hard, but acting like they on their flowers. You old bitch ass nigga, I'll fuck your ass up. Hold up. Let me regain my composure. I keep the time to the beat of a composer. The end is near and I can feel it getting closer. Praying to the Lord that the angels be my chauffeur. We're doing this for YAHAWAH and YAHAWAH. Go to war for our people like Mordecai. I'm sorry for my sins and I deserve to die, but please swing low, sweet chariot, cause I wanna ride. Every day is a struggle just to stay alive. It's dark and hell is hot and I don't wanna feel the fire. I'm sorry for my sins and I deserve to die, but please swing low, sweet chariot, cause I wanna ride. Well, come on. Won't you please swing low, sweet chariot? Won't you please swing low, sweet chariot?
Yeah, and get out the cell, cause I done been through every bed. Let's declare the facts. Crackers said it's days and traps. Revenue be impressing. I ain't prepared to crap. My current state of living depressing. My hair I'm tearing that. I fight alone in my home, but I ain't sharing that. Most of these people ain't prepared for that. I met these GPK brothers and I was hearing that. They said, you know, they crash triple too. And I'm like, where is that? They get the scriptures and they show what he was hearing that. Push when he's up top the mountain, I'm unaware of that. Return the rocks in the bread, I'm highly aware of that. But then they try to get cracked to jump. Shit, I be scared of that. Instead of stressing through infinitesimal with comparing that. This is my data strap. This was blessed with those words. That's what precious do.
Oh, it is.
The truth was great. So I shit, yeah, I was shy.
That Duke Deuce video you sent had me rolling. He was on the treadmill.
I'm sorry for my sins and I deserve to die, but please swing low, sweet chariot, cause I wanna ride. Every day is a struggle just to stay alive. It's dark and hell is hot and I don't wanna feel the fire. I'm sorry for my sins and I deserve to die, but please swing low, sweet chariot, cause I wanna ride. Well, come on. Won't you please swing low, sweet chariot? Won't you please swing low, sweet chariot?
I like this part. It's my favorite part right here.
Boy. Nobody calls me all day. Swing down, I wanna ride. Swing down, I wanna ride. Swing down,
All right, clap it up. Lost Tribes. Always bringing that fire. That's a classic hit right there. And that's actually very much so what our class is going to be. Shalom, Yashala. This is the Isupk. Started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York in 1969. We are under commanding General YAHAWAH. We are here to bring the truth of the Bible out, that blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the real Israelites that the Bible is talking about. You understand? And today's topic, we'll be uncovering the mystery of the chariots of the army of YAHAWAH. You understand? The news has been ramping up this year about declassified UFO documents and UFO sightings. The public has been bombarded with so many world events this year that the government made official statements regarding the unidentified flying objects that have been seen across the U.S. over the past 70 years. So much bombardment of other things going on that the public barely even bat an eye to the news that the government officially released statements saying that they, in fact, do confirm the existence of these identified flying objects. So it's not something that, because we've seen so much stuff happening in the news and they went ahead and just slipped that through, it kind of went under the radar. It was almost one of those things where it was such a big deal back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, and how it's influenced pop culture and entertainment and all forms of media to the point where we are just numb to it in this day and age. To the news of them actually admitting it is almost like a secondary thought to whatever else is going on in the world. Well, even after 70 years of research, they have yet to understand exactly what these vehicles are, what these spaceships are, what these identified flying objects are. Well, guess what? Since the 1969, the Isupk has had the answer to this mystery. Is it aliens like we see in the movies? Are these vehicles here for peace? Or are they here for war? Do they adhere to the laws of our physics? Or are they interdimensional? It is best that we read the scriptures to understand the past and to see the parallels between the scriptures versus what we see on the news and the movies regarding this phenomenon, so that we aren't confused about what's real and what's fake. You understand? And before we get into the class, I just want to get an introductory precept that is going to kind of set the tone for what this class is really going to be discussing. We're going to begin in the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 11. The book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 11. This is a very prophetic book when you read in the book of Joel. It talks about a lot of things regarding the future, okay? And this is something that we need to keep in mind here, right here. Again, we're talking about the chariots of the Most High. Let's go ahead and start. You can go ahead and start at verse 9 real quick. We're just going to read through. We're not going to break it all down. We're just going to read through it, and we're going to get to 11. Go ahead, Slakia.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9.
Go ahead.
Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles.
Go ahead.
Prepare war.
Keep going.
Wake up the mighty men.
Mm-hmm.
Let all the men of war draw near.
Let all of the Gentile soldiers draw near. This is the book of Joel. He's talking about prepare the Gentiles for warfare. In this particular subject, this is a very important thing to keep in mind because we're talking about the Gentiles and all of their soldiers being brought together for something. Read on.
Let them come up.
Keep going.
Verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords.
Go ahead.
And your pruning hooks into spears.
If you remember, during World War II, you had a lot of manufacturing companies that were making things for the house, like vehicles. They were making things like desks and furniture. They were making things for industrial purposes regarding normal life. Well, in times of war, their plowshares, okay, your pruning hooks, your farming equipment, your vehicles, those companies that manufacture those things are to be manufacturing instruments of war. And that's what happened in World War II. The Most High is telling us right here in the book of Joel, he's saying, prepare for war. Get back to manufacturing war, vehicles and war weapons and things to prepare yourself for battle. Read on.
And your pruning hook into spears.
Go ahead.
Let the weak say, I am strong.
Let the weak say what?
I am strong.
Let the weak say what?
I am strong.
So everybody thinks that they got something to say. Everybody thinks that they got command over this planet. The Most High is telling you, prepare for war. It doesn't matter if you're just some random country in the middle of the sand somewhere, or if you're the most established country on the planet. All of them are to be preparing for war when this decree is bring forth. Read on, verse 11. This is where we wanted to get to right here.
Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen,
Go ahead.
and gather yourselves together round about.
So all these heathen are gathering together round about. Read on.
Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord.
He said, thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Why is he saying that? Okay? Who are the mighty ones of the Lord? You understand what I'm saying? We just got through reading about how the Gentiles are to gather their mighty ones, to gather their armies, to gather their instruments of war, to get ready for battle. And he says, thither cause thy mighty ones, or in what you would say in the Israelite terms, order your soldiers to come down, O Lord, to prepare for this battle. You understand what I'm saying? And who are the mighty ones? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about these instruments of war. We're going to talk about these prophecies, and we're going to make sure to discern what's real from what's fake, because there's a lot of fake stuff that we see out there that we're bombarded with every single day regarding the news, regarding these phenomena that we see called UFOs. Well, in the ISUPK, they are identified flying objects, and we're going to prove this by going into the scriptures and showing you the proof that the Bible has been talking about this for thousands of years. You understand? And to further say, before we get into the class, there's just one more precept I want to bring out to support this. Go ahead and read Psalm chapter 68 and verse 17. We're going to get Psalm chapter 68 and verse 17. Again, in the ISUPK, we bring out a lot of scriptures to back up what we're saying. So it's imperative for everybody involved to go ahead and get a piece of paper, a notepad, and a pen and pencil to write these scriptures down so that you can have them as you can have them documented, that you actually are putting this all together. If you ever need to come back and study these things again, or if you're ever seeing these things on the news again, or seeing things in the movies that might have you confused, we could always go back to the scriptures and say, you know what, does it line up with what this is saying? Because if it lines up with the scriptures, then that's how we know what's real. You understand? We're going to get Psalm chapter 68 and verse 17. Go ahead.
The book of Psalms, chapter 68, verse 17.
Read on.
The chariots of God are 20,000.
The chariots of God are what?
20,000.
The chariots, these vehicles. There's 20,000 of them according to this precept here, among other things that we read about in Revelations. We're not going to get that in depth on it at this point in time, but you got to understand that the chariots of God are 20,000. Read on.
Even thousands of angels.
Even what?
Thousands of angels.
What's in the chariots?
Thousands of angels.
With 20,000 chariots, we have thousands of angels that operate these chariots. You understand? That's what we're talking about when we're reading about the chariots. Let's go ahead and get into this class now. We're gonna dive straight in. We're gonna show you videos. We're gonna talk about all manner of articles regarding things that are happening in the news and how things are really starting to ramp up, where we're starting to see it more and more and more. We are in the age of technology where everybody walking around has a high definition camera on their cell phone. And so you're seeing people taking their phones out and recording footage of this type of phenomena every single day. Canada alone has had UFO sightings every single day for the past 5 years. Somebody calling in, talking about they seen lights in the sky. Somebody in the United States talking about they seen formations of lights in the sky. We're going to talk about these things, and we're going to let the scriptures explain what this really is. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get the book of Zechariah chapter 5 and verse 1. Let's go ahead and get that. Zechariah chapter 5 and verse 1.
I got it.
All right, go ahead.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 5, verse 1. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked,
Okay.
and behold, a flying roll.
So what did he see?
A flying roll.
So we're talking about something that's flying thousands of years ago. We have to understand that first and foremost. There were no airplanes thousands of years ago. Not by man. There weren't these vehicles that we see nowadays in the sky. We didn't have little drones and things like that, like you have toys to play with these things now. We didn't have that back then. That technology did not exist at that point in time. But there was something that was in the sky. What was this? Read on.
Verse 2. And he said unto me, What seest thou?
What seest thou? What is this flying roll? Go ahead.
And I answered, I see a flying roll.
Again, a flying roll. Think about a sphere. What rolls? What's something that rolls? A wheel, a ball, right? You could roll a basketball. You could roll a football. You could roll a tennis ball. You could roll a tire. There's a circular shape. We're talking about a flying roll. This is something that's in the air that has a spherical shape, or the shape of something that would roll. Okay, go ahead.
The length thereof is 20 cubits.
Now, what is a cubit? You know what a cubit is? A cubit is an old ancient form of measurement. Back in the day, a cubit is basically you would make a ball in your fist, and the length of a cubit is from your fist to your elbow, which is probably like 1.5 feet, depending on whoever you are, because it varies depending on which person, you know, what your features are. But a cubit was an old form of measurement. So 20 cubits is going to be from here to your elbow 20 times in length. It's talking about something that's at least 25 to 30 feet long if we were to convert it into modern, measurements and things like that. So go ahead, read that one more time. Salaki.
The length thereof is 20 cubits.
So the length of this flying roll is 20 cubits. Okay, go ahead.
And the breadth and the breadth.
Go ahead.
And the breadth thereof is 10 cubits.
The breadth thereof, like the height. You understand? Like the breadth meaning like from the bottom to the top. That was 10 cubits. So you're looking at something that's in the dimensions of what looks to be like a sideways oval almost. A flying roll. We're giving you the dimensions. It's a large enough flying roll for it to be bigger than your living room, be bigger than a good fraction of the house. And with the height being 10 feet, that's a good size for the height as well. We're talking about something in the air that looks like this, but we need to get some more information on what this is looking like, right? Go ahead and read on, Salaki.
Verse 3. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth.
This is a what?
This is the curse that goeth forth over the whole earth.
UFOs are seen where?
Over the whole earth.
UFOs are seen over the whole entire earth. This is saying right here that this is a curse. This is a curse. Why is it called a curse? Read on.
For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as one this side according to it.
Go ahead.
And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it.
Hold that. Let's get Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. We need to understand something very important about this curse that's put across the whole earth. Everyone that stealeth, meaning every nation that has stolen their land, every nation that sweareth by, say for instance, I'm going to give you an example straight up. But we got to get this precept first before we get into this video. I'm going to show you a clip of one of these flying rolls that is to be across the whole earth. And this particular one is in a spot of a place of people that sweareth. Let's read Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. Go ahead.
The book of Revelation chapter 2 verse 9. I know thy works.
Okay.
And tribulation.
Talking to the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And poverty.
And poverty. Go ahead.
But thou art rich.
But we have a rich heritage. We have a rich culture. We have a support group behind us to keep us safe in times of trouble. We have more to our history than what is allowed to be taught to us growing up here in America. growing up here in Babylon the Great. Read on.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews.
Which say they are what?
Jews.
Go ahead.
And are not.
And are not.
But are the synagogue of Satan.
Those that swear falsely by the Most High's name are to be plagued with this curse. Those that stole the land from other people are to be plagued with this curse. These flying rolls are sent all across the world, and we're going to show you a video of that. It's like, what you got for me?
I got a precept for that.
Go ahead. Let's get
it's
that.
Also in the book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 9.
That's what one. That's you probably right exactly what I'm thinking of right here. Go ahead, read that.
Right. The book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 9.
Go ahead.
If any man have an ear, let him hear.
Go ahead.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Mm-hmm.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
That's prophecy right there. Then that is also justice. This plague, this curse that's going across the whole world is a curse for people that have done wrong and think that they've gotten away with it. You understand? This is something that's an assurance by the Most High that justice does get served in the end. You understand? Now let's go back. Let's go back to Zechariah. And before we continue, I want to take a look. I'm going to show this to you guys out there, those of you that are watching. We're going to go into the first video here. This is a sighting of a UFO in Jerusalem. Could you test to see if the audio is coming through, Salakia, on that video? Now I know the image is offset, but that's because we have two different accounts. You're going to see another video on the right kick in. There it is, right there. And what we're doing is we're seeing this video footage. Show this to you guys. Let me see. Oh God.
I'll just hold it.
Okay, it's playing the audio. Cool. So this light, you see it right here. It's hovering. Now watch, it's going to flash and it's going to go up. And we're seeing two different perspectives. I'm going to replay it so you can see what it does again because it's sitting there. It's sitting there and it's on post. It's like this flying roll. Look, there it is. See how they just flew up? I'm going to rewind that so you can see that again. There it is right here, and it's floating right above the center of Jerusalem. This was in 2011, I believe. Okay, and this flying roll was sent. It's almost like a what's the word? As like as a way of stirring the pot. What's the word that goes with that? It's kind of like they're sending a message to them to let them know, look, we're here. There's nothing you could do about it. And we've seen that flying roll. Again, we're seeing two different perspectives. Two different completely, and he just flew up right there. Now, that's at nighttime. Of course, and video footage and things like that have gotten better over time since then. But we're seeing an account from two different people at the same exact time, seeing the same exact light float down right in the center of the city, right above some temple or something like that. It's in the land of Jerusalem, and it's sitting there right above it, and then it flashes, and then it flies straight up. There is nothing man-made that can move like that. Nothing man-made that can move that fast. We have to understand that these scriptures are real. We have to understand that this isn't science fiction when we're talking about the Bible. We're reading prophecy. We're reading the exact understanding of what these things are, things that the government does not know. They were not given that knowledge. Were you able to see that in the video?
Oh yeah, I was watching.
All right, no sweat. I just want to make sure if there's anybody that's just now joining in that wants me to replay that, go ahead and let us know right now. Because like I said, I'm gonna play it one more time so you can see the flying roll that we're seeing in both cameras, left and right, is right there hovering in the middle. Wait for it. You're gonna see it flash, and then it's gonna fly straight up. I remember that day that this video came out.
Whoa!
Look, there's a flash, and then it just flew straight up. No helicopter can do that. No fighter jet can do that. No balloon can do that. No firework can do that. That is not something that was CGI. That was something that was seen by multiple people. And there's actually other videos out there, I remember, where you had 4 different perspectives. You had a lot of people that were recording that when it happened as an example to show you that the Most High sets this curse in places that what? Let's read that one more time. Zechariah chapter 5 and verse 1 through 4. You can start at verse 2.
Verse 2. And he said unto me, what seest thou?
What is this flying roll that we're seeing in this video right here?
And I answered, I see a flying roll.
Go ahead.
The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits.
A fairly large structure, just like what we're seeing right here. Of course, this is far away, so it doesn't look like it's that large, but that's something that's a pretty sizable vehicle there. That ball of light is approximately 20 cubits wide. Go ahead.
Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth.
Of the whole entire earth, you're seeing these. Read on.
For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it.
Now think about this for a second. This city right here, is this a stolen city? Yes. Yes, it is a stolen city. This city was stolen from the real Israelites. And we just read in Revelation that there are people that swear falsely by the Most High's name that are not the real Israelites. And then read on. What does it say right there at the end of that precept?
And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it.
That's exactly what that is. That's there for that reason. And it's on post. It's on Shamar. It's standing there waiting for its orders. If it was given the order to move down there to do that display, that's something that's to intimidate the enemies of the host of the Most High. That's something that is there for a reason, and they do not understand what it is. That's why when you listen to the reaction of the people in the video, they're like, "What is that?" They don't understand. And that's the theme that you're going to see across all these videos that we go over, because people truly do not understand what it is. And we can't trust that the government's going to tell us the truth, that the movies that we watch are going to tell us the truth. We're not going to trust in none of that. Drop that. Let's go ahead and get the book of Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 15.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 15.
Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 15. Let me get that with you. There. So again, we just saw an example of a flying roll. I'm going to go ahead and take the video down. We don't need it no more. This is just, we just getting started. You know what I'm saying? We just getting started on examples of this. All right, go ahead.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 15. Now as I beheld the living creatures,
go ahead.
Behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces.
This living creature is what's inside of this chariot. Okay? In the book of Ezekiel. Read on. Verse 16.
Verse 16. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl.
This vehicle looked like wheels. Okay? It looked like a disc. Okay? You know what I'm talking about? And it says that it was like under the color of beryl, which is green, like a yellowish green, a bright color. It's the brightest color. It's the most eye-intensive color on the spectrum. This is something that's drawn. This is something that looks very powerful, very bright, very colorful. And this is exactly what this living creature was driving, what he was piloting in this sense. Read on.
And the four had one likeness.
So the faces that it's talking about look the same. Go ahead.
And their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel.
A wheel in the middle of a wheel. Okay? Think about that for a second. That's what a flying saucer is described as. When you think of a typical, flying saucer, you think of a typical UFO sighting. It either looks like a flying roll, a ball of light, or it looks like a vehicle that looks like a wheel within a wheel. It's plain and simple. Now, of course, we have to understand one thing, one major thing. There are celestial bodies and there are terrestrial bodies. There's a glory of one type, like what we are on this earth, and there's a glory of another type of what this type of vehicle comes from, where it derives from. You understand? Now let's go ahead and get verse 17. It's going to describe the way it's mobilized, the way that it moves. Go ahead.
Verse 17. When they went upon their four sides.
Go ahead.
And they turned not when they went.
So this four-faced creature is looking in different directions at once, and when it turns not as it goes, you can't tell that it's turning. It's just moving different directions. I would consider that to be one heck of a guardsman, right?
Right.
One heck of a soldier in an army, a very highly advanced army that can move in a way that doesn't necessarily have to adhere to the laws of physics that we have to adhere with on a daily basis on Earth. You get in your car and you drive, you can't drive 100 miles an hour around a corner. You can't do that. You can't switch directions instantly without having to turn. This is a device. This is a creature that operates a vehicle that can turn at will, that can change direction and change speed at will with no limitations. You understand that? This is what we're describing in the Bible, and we have to understand that this is what we're seeing on media, in the news. This is what we're seeing that's being admitted to be true, admitted to exist in our news broadcast stations. The Most High is showing his strength across the whole entire world with these flying rolls that we see all across the U.S., all across Canada, all across. I mean, this was an example in this video. This was something that was this one was in Jerusalem. All right. And we're going to show you some more. Let's go ahead and I'm going to give you a quick recap on some recent news. It's going to talk about.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
What the hell? That strange light in the sky is one of 1,100 UFO sightings in Canada last year. According to the annual survey released by Ufology Research of Manitoba, there are at least 3 such sightings in the country every day.
UFO reports are still a thing. People are reporting them in greater and greater numbers every year.
Montreal is Canada's UFO capital, with 74 sightings reported last year, followed by Toronto, then Vancouver. It's not that these cities are on an extraterrestrial highway. It's a matter of population, says the report's author.
If a tree's falling in the forest, you need somebody to hear it. So if there's a UFO in the sky, the more people around to see it, the more reports you get.
None of the sightings match the drama of the X-Files.
The truth is out there.
But something was out there, according to 10 campers in Quebec who reported a triangular object that hovered and then flew off. One of them drew the scene. In Oshawa, a wildlife photographer captured an odd-shaped disc in the sky. This scientist says people should be critical, but still open-minded.
There's a few that really just get me scratching my head saying, what could it have been?
The survey says of the 1,100 sightings, only 8% are unexplained, and that can be whittled down to 1% of so-called high-quality unknowns.
In fact, none of these cases, shout that aliens are here. But what they do say is that people are reporting things, and maybe science should take a closer look at some of them.
Since the survey began nearly 30 years ago, more than 19,000 Canadians have reported seeing something strange in the sky. That makes them think we're not alone.
You see that right there is just a short compilation of a recent news broadcast where they're talking about these phenomena that we're seeing. I like this example right here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. See if I can find it. Yeah, these are all the sightings that we're seeing, right? This is what they're talking about. This is just Canada. Like Canada, people don't really pay attention to Canada. But Canada be getting it in. They seeing all kinds of phenomena out there. You know what I'm saying? This one right here. This right here is from a movie. Okay, we got to keep that in mind. We got to understand that these movies are always trying to program us, right? Always trying to show us something. Okay, let's go back to the scripture. I want to continue with where we're at in the scripture, where we're talking about what this what these vehicles look like. We're seeing the balls of light, but we're also hearing about the ones that look like a wheel within a wheel, right? That you see in other cases. The most common ones are the ones that look like the balls of light. We know for sure that that one is a curse that the Most High puts across the whole entire globe. This is a slightly different one. This one looks a little bit different from a ball of light. And let's get some information on that, because again, we're reading in Ezekiel here, and it's describing the living creature inside of this wheel within a wheel. So again, we're on verse 17. Let's read verse 17 again.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 17. When they went upon their four sides.
They went upon their four sides. Go ahead.
And they turned not when they went.
Read on.
As for the rings, they were so high that they were dreadful.
They were so what?
They were so high that they were dreadful.
They were so high that they were dreadful. Read on.
And their rings were full of eyes round about them.
Now, what's it talking about right here? These eyes. This is the vehicle we're talking about. The vehicle had eyes. Then what does this look like? This right here is kind of giving you an idea. And this is just a depiction, of course, because this isn't a movie. But this is an example that I like because you're seeing the way that it moves. You're seeing the way it looks like a disc, a wheel within a wheel. And then the way it has lights all around it. Okay, there's a lot of examples of things that look like that in movies and all sorts of media that you see out there. Particularly, I like to, you know, every now and then I like to watch sci-fi movies. How many of y'all grew up with sci-fi movies like Star Wars, Transformers? You know what I'm talking about? Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, if you've seen that movie. Movies like that, they take the narrative of the Bible and they like to make money off of it. Every major movie that you have seen within the past 10 years that sci-fi takes elements from the scriptures and they do their own little twist to it to try to make money off it because they know that that's what entices people. The story of the Bible is incredible. And there's things in here that are very much so real, so much so that it's not even considered sci-fi. This is what we're seeing in real life. And they take that and then they try to make it their version of it. Take, for instance, Star Wars, right? Let's talk about that for a second. Oh, give me some other examples. What else you see out there? Star Wars, you got spaceships, you got aliens, you got people trying to create democracy all across the galaxy, trying to be dictators across the galaxy. It's all Greco-Roman. It's just the same thing. It's just they're just putting their own little twist on it so that they can make it enticing for everybody to want to, you know, go see at the movie theater, buy the popcorn, buy the drinks, get the candy, sit down and watch and become brainwashed by the entertainment because the graphical effects are so fun to look at. The movie plot is always so interesting. People are so into this kind of stuff that they fail to understand this is real. A lot of this stuff right here that we're talking about when we're looking at these balls of light, like right here,
Annual
and
survey
right here,
capital with
that's actually happening. Go ahead. What you got for me?
I was gonna say Transformers.
Transformers is one of my favorites. You know why? The third one's my favorite. Yeah. Dark Side of the Moon. You know why? Because the Transformers are trying to bring their kingdom to Earth.
Right.
They try to bring their kingdom to Earth. And what they do in that movie, they want you to feel like they are the bad guy. They want you to think that the Decepticons trying to bring their kingdom to Earth is the bad guy. But does the Bible say that? Does the Bible say that the Most High is coming with his chariots to bring the kingdom on Earth? Is he the bad guy? No, not in the Bible. But in the movies, they'll have you think so. But they do it in a way that's unique. They do it in a way that goes with with all the manga and all the TV shows from the 80s, right? So it has a different flair to it. So you have people that like the Autobots. You got people that like the Decepticons because they think they're cool. But it's all entertainment. But it still takes elements from the scriptures. Go ahead.
Right. What the crazy part is about the Transformers movie, right? You remember when they tried to go send the Autobots back up to the moon?
Yeah.
They tried to send the Autobots back up to the moon, and they sent that missile to destroy the spaceship.
Yeah.
Right. That happened in the 80s. Remember they had the teacher that was on board, and they were trying to go back to the moon, and their whole spaceship got destroyed.
Damn.
You don't remember that?
Yeah.
You don't remember that?
You talking about during the Cold War?
No, I don't know. I don't know if it was during the Cold War, but it was in the 80s, and their whole spaceship got destroyed, and everybody seen it on national TV. You know what I mean? Like they see the spaceship take off, and then all of a sudden it looked like a missile hit it, and it poof, it just shattered to pieces, and everybody on the space shuttle died.
Damn.
You know what I mean? That's the reason why they haven't been back to the moon. You know, since 1969. If they really went,
if they really even went, you know, I heard, you know, there's all sorts of theories, and when we talking about this topic, what happens is two things. First of all, it's very nostalgic because we always grew up watching things like science fiction, things like what's another example? Predator. It's one of my favorite. That was my brother's favorite movie series right there. Predator, about visitors or hunters from other galaxies, right? Yeah, 80s, all these different things. Like, I mean, I can go on. Battle Los Angeles, right? Battle Los Angeles, that was a heavy movie. But you know what they like to do in their stories that they tell? They like to give them a fighting chance. They want to say that they have a chance to win Independence Day. Well, how can I forget Independence Day? A wheel within a wheel. You look at the way the saucers are in Independence Day, that's by the book. We're reading about it right here. We're talking about wheels within a wheel. We're talking about creatures that you see in these vehicles. Of course, like I said, they're going to put their version of it on there, but they like to try to make it seem like they got a puncher's chance. You know why? Because the deceiver, he doesn't like a fair fight. But in a situation like this where he can't no longer hide the fact that these exist, he wants to at least put the idea out there to make you feel like they do stand a chance against something this technologically advanced. What's up?
It's like War of the Worlds, man.
That's one of my favorite ones too. Now that one was one of the most helpless ones. That one was a tough one.
Yeah, when they took the trumpet, and before they started bringing hellfire on them, right? It goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They took that from the Bible. They took that from the Bible because in Christ's return, the trumpet's gonna blow.
I do you one better. And like I said, because with sci-fi, that's always something that's intrigued us, right? StarCraft was about 3 different alien races. One of them was a spiritual race with the aliens that wore braids. And these aliens that wore braids were all connected together and had one mind and one judgment in the way that they fought. They could feel each other's thoughts. They knew that when one of them was about to get hit by an enemy in the middle of a battle, they were able to sense it and protect their brothers that were next to them. But those that cut their braids off became disconnected from that unified mind to where they were separated, and then they fought each other because of that separation, and they ended up getting attacked. Like there's a narrative in there that takes elements from the scriptures and they do their own twist on it for entertainment purposes. And those types of movies make so much money. Look at the Avengers, right? All the Marvel movies. You had Thanos, right? Thanos coming from outer space with the gauntlet and all the power, wanted to take over, moving in with the army, and it was up to Iron Man and Thor and Wonder Woman. What you really got to look at when you're watching those movies is understand the brainwashing. Understand it. Wonder Woman is Diana. That's a Greek goddess. They putting that right in your face. Right. Thor, Roman Greco-Roman mythology. They putting right in your face. You cheering for their false gods without even knowing it. You know what I'm saying? And they give they put an enemy there to take out that's the bad guy. And again, when they're taking the narrative from the scriptures, it's actually the Most High that they're trying to depict as the bad guy when they transpose it into their story.
Right.
That's the heaviest thing to keep in mind about it when you watch these movies. It's why you see movies like Battle Los Angeles where these guys come in and they're trying to fight back and they got the missile launcher trying to hit the tower and blah, 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 right? Or the movie Skyline, which is one of my favorites, where you had the chariot come down and you see it beaming up the entire city full of people. You see all these people being sucked into the chariot, and they want you to be afraid of that idea, even though the scriptures talks otherwise about what this really is. So there's a brainwashing that comes in naturally when you're talking about sci-fi films. So just understand that, yes, It's entertainment, but understand the biblical aspect. And we go into the scriptures to understand exactly what the real story is supposed to be like, who the real good guys are and the real bad guys are, because it matters to you, Israel. It matters that you know who's on your side, especially because we're talking about real life and not just some movie or some video game. These are things that are being exposed now across the whole entire world because they can't hide it anymore. And everybody got cell phones and cameras and they're recording this stuff. So they have to talk about it now. But back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, 60s, people didn't have access to media like that. So the brainwashing was even more prevalent back then. Let's get back to the scriptures, though, because this gets even more in depth. What you want to say?
Back in the 50s, they didn't even have TVs.
That's when they barely started getting it going.
TVs so they could actually look at what's going on the news if they had the news.
No, what you on point with that is War of the Worlds. You know how that actually originated?
No.
Back then, when they didn't have TVs, they only had radios.
Uh-huh.
So when War of the Worlds was a story about the world being invaded, they played that narrative on the radio, and the whole entire society got scared because they thought it was real news. Because they didn't understand that this was just something that was like for entertainment purposes. So War of the Worlds was something that was broadcasted on the radio and scared the heck out of everybody because they thought it was really happening. Come to find out, what was it, 1947? That's when the whole incident in Roswell happened. You know what I'm saying?
Roswell, New Mexico, sir?
Yep. That's what I'm talking. Area 51 and all that is where you start to see more activity because of the military presence of the U.S. Well, guess what? Who's going to keep an eye on all that? The Most High. He's going to order his soldiers to keep an eye on everything that's going on, and they're holding post. And that's exactly what they did. Go ahead.
What year you say that was, sir?
I believe that was 1947.
1947.
Because my grandfather was a medic in Area 51 in the early 50s. So he had showed up there shortly afterwards, and he was telling me about the way they decorated the city and they started, putting the whole idea of the alien grays and things like that, just to kind of smear the idea of what was really happening.
Oh yeah, the gray people.
Mm-hmm. They always tried to pick a certain alien. They'll make it look like anything other than what the scripture tries to describe it as a black entity. And we're going to talk about that too. I got that video next. But we're going to get into these scriptures. We're going to continue to unravel the mystery about what this is really talking about, what's really going on. Who are the mighty ones of YAHAWAH in the army of Israel? And what is your role to play, understanding that these things are starting to become more and more common as time is going on? All right. So again, we're back in Ezekiel chapter 1. Let's get verse 17 one more time.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 17.
Go ahead.
When they went upon their four sides.
Okay.
And they turned not when they went.
So this is a vehicle that turns really quick at will. Go ahead.
Verse 18. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful.
Okay, read on.
And their rings were full of eyes round about them four.
The rings were full of eyes round about them four. Okay. That was the end of verse 18.
God.
All right. Yeah, let's keep going. Go ahead. Read verse 20 real quick.
Verse 20 or verse 19?
Verse 19.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 19.
Go ahead.
And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them.
Go ahead.
And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up.
That's how you know this is a vehicle. Because if you get in a car, everywhere that you go, the car is going right with you because you're inside of it. This being that's holding Shamar, everywhere he goes, the wheel is round about it. It's encompassing about it. It's inside of it. If he goes up, the vehicle goes up. If he goes down, the vehicle goes down because he's one with it. He's inside of it like a vehicle. That's what it's trying to explain. Read verse 20.
Verse 20. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them.
The wheels were lifted up what?
Over against them.
Again, just reiterating the fact that this is all operating in unison. operating in a spiritual way. This is a spiritual entity that we're talking about. The vehicle, the creature inside of the vehicle, the way that it moves, it defies the laws of physics that we have to live by because it's not the same type of creature that we are. You understand? Was that the end of that verse? Oh, just go ahead and finish up the rest of that verse.
For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels.
Come on now. That's just plain and simple. That's like I said, spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. Just like how if you're in a car and you get a car accident, you can get out the car and switch cars. Hopefully you're okay. Hopefully you don't get banged up. But you're inside that vessel while it's moving. If you're going 60 miles an hour, it's going 60 miles an hour. If you got to slam on the brakes, it's got to keep you inside of it. You just don't go flying out of it. You understand? It's like when you're inside of the vehicle, you become one with it. That's why you're controlling it in the way that it's supposed to operate. This is something that operates differently. This is something that doesn't exactly turn as it's moving around. That's the way that it was ordained to be. And it was created to handle that type of movement and things like that. All right? Hold that. Let's get Isaiah chapter 31 and verse 5. We're kind of going into a little bit more specifics as to what these things do and how they operate, okay? Because this is something that we also see all over the news as well. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 31 verse 5.
We're getting Isaiah chapter 31 verse 5. Make sure y'all write these scriptures down. You know what I'm saying? Because it goes into real specific things, and we want to make sure to have all of that at our disposal. Go ahead.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 31, verse 5.
Read.
As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem.
Wait, say that again. Go ahead.
Is it as birds flying?
How do birds fly? They fly in formation. A lot of times you see birds flying where you got one right here, one right here, one right here, one right here, and it looks like a V flying in the air of birds slightly separated from each other. And you're seeing in the news, like in the clips that we just saw, these chariots are flying like birds. They fly in formation when they're together because it is an army of the Lord of hosts. Read that one more time.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 31, verse 5. As the birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem.
Man, come on. It's straight like that. That's the end of that verse?
No, there's more.
Go ahead.
Defending also, he will deliver it.
Hold on a second. Defending them also, he will deliver. Deliver who, though? Deliver Israel.
Right.
Those birds flying are defending Israel, and also at some point will deliver them salvation, is what it's talking about. That is a method of salvation. The song we played at the beginning of the show was a song called "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot." That was an old Negro spiritual they used to sing back in the slave times, praying for salvation. And they knew that those chariots were a vessel that were to be used for their salvation. They knew it. You know what I'm saying? It's no different than today. It's just that there's so many people on this planet, most of them not knowing what the heck is going on. They don't read the scriptures. Their pastors can't show them the scriptures, can't teach them the truth. But we're in the ISUPK since 1969. We are showing you exactly what they are, how they move, what the spirit is, what's inside these vehicles. I don't need the government to tell me what it is to understand what this is. But I do understand that as birds are flying, these things are going to defend us. They're going to protect us. They're there to make sure that Esau doesn't slip up and try to make us all go extinct before we have the 144,000 secured. You understand? They are there to make sure. It's like they're the police enforcing things as they happen across the globe. So we could drop that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get Isaiah chapter 60. Oh, what you got for me?
It's like Cap always says that the angels are like our big brothers.
Man, you couldn't have said it better. Big up to Cap for that.
Yeah, they're our big brothers, man. They watching out for us.
That's what I was gonna title the class. I was gonna say these mighty ones are our brothers. Think of it like that. They have a different form than us. They're capable in ways that we are not capable, just like how we're capable in ways that they are not capable. You know what I'm saying? They serve a purpose. They follow orders. And let them be a lesson to you that you also must learn to follow orders. Because if they're dedicating their entire existence to stand post over a city, it's because they're following orders. They're told to do so. They do what they're told. When are you going to do what you're told, Israel? When are we going to follow the law, statutes, and commandments and that glorifies our form that we are here on earth? You understand? Let's get back in these prescriptions because we're gonna keep going through it. This is beautiful to see because, like I said, you know, a lot of us grew up watching movies and things like that. Sci-fi has always been intriguing, but let's get a full understanding of why we feel connected to that type of genre in that sort of way. And why is it that we like to go and watch all these different things and play video games regarding this stuff? They know that. They know that we'll go and buy all their products that talk about things like this. Even though it's, of course, not according to the scriptures exactly. They take the elements from it because they know that we like our story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they use that to make all this money.
Right.
When they should be paying royalties to our people for taking our story and doing whatever they want with it.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Someday somebody's going to have to pay up. All right, let's get Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 15.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse what?
Verse 15.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
The book of Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15.
Read.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire.
Read on.
And with his chariots like a whirlwind.
Like a what?
Like a whirlwind.
Like a whirlwind. We just talked about a wheel within a wheel. We just talked about a flying roll. Now we're talking about chariots of fire. See how this is all, they're all describing a very similar thing here. They're all describing a very similar, structure. And one thing we know for sure, these things fly in the air. That's why they call them UFOs. They're unidentified flying objects. Of course, unidentified for those wicked people that are in power that don't know better. Some of them probably do, but they're just too afraid to admit what it really is. So they have to make sure to distract you with all sorts of goofy looking aliens to make you think that it's something to be afraid of, something you need to get your gun out and shoot at if it ever tries to show up to your house. You understand? Probably don't want to do that. I would recommend you probably need to salute them instead. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. What's up?
All right. And for the heathen, they should get on their knees and kiss boots.
Mm-hmm.
They should get on their knees and kiss boots. You want me to keep going, sir?
Hold on, let me catch up with you. You said we was on 66 and 15. Read that one more time. Go ahead from the beginning.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 15.
Go ahead.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
Remember, we read earlier there's over 20,000 chariots. A very large army accompanied with angels. Go ahead.
To render his anger with fury.
No, he wants to love everybody.
To render his anger with fury.
He wants to bring peace on the earth, and everybody sing kumbaya and join hands and get along and tolerate each other.
To render his anger with fury.
He's going to render his anger with fury. Go ahead.
And his rebuke with flames of fire.
He needs to correct something. Now let's put this all together here. That curse, that flying roll that was talked about in Zechariah, that curse was placed across the whole earth so that it can be prepared to render that rebuke and fury to those that stole land from the Israelites, those that swear falsely by his name, pretending to be Israelites. We looked at that video in Jerusalem and we seen clear as day that we're talking about something that's really happening in our planet. Let there be no doubt in your mind that these scriptures are true. Instead of them trying to say some kind of narrative because these balls of light are admitted to be real, God must not exist because aliens exist. No, that is not what we're talking about. The scriptures talk about this being the chariots of his army. So don't let them try to sway you into believing that that is the enemy. That thing right there is protecting you, Israel. And it's showcasing the power of the Most High so that the whole world can see what the Most High is capable of at the snap of a finger. He can end everything that they know and love. He can end the kingdom with the snap of his fingers. But the Most High bides his time. You know why? Because he likes a challenge. He's not a coward like our enemies are. Our enemy likes to shoot you in the street when you're 57 years old and using a walker to get down the street. Our enemy likes to shoot a kid holding a bag of Skittles with a gun, defenseless. Our enemy likes to take the last of us in our caravan and make sure that he's getting the weakest of us because he's too afraid to fight the strongest of us, the mightiest of us. He knows better than to pick a fight with these mighty ones because these mighty ones, they follow the Most High's orders. They're there for a time where they're going to be brought out on this earth to make sure that the Most High's will is done on the earth and to render the Most High's anger with fire and wrath and rebuke. We're on verse 16. Let's start that again.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 16.
Go ahead.
For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead.
The Lord's being, it's like he's being ironic with it. Hold that and get Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 4 real quick. Just real quick. Verse 4.
All right.
Go ahead. Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4. Go ahead.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 4.
Read.
And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north.
Go ahead.
A great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself.
Is that the end of that verse?
Nah.
Go ahead.
And a brightness was about it.
So we're seeing a brightness, a fire. And what I want to do is I want to bombard you now with scriptures that are describing the exact same thing. Whirlwinds, chariots, fire, whirlwind, cloud, flying rolls, vehicles in the air, vehicles shaped like discs, wheels within a wheel. We're seeing the theme here, right? A powerful presence, a powerful spiritual presence that we're talking about. That's what you're seeing on these videos. And be not deceived of what's inside of it. Was that the end of the verse? Go ahead and skip to verse 7 real quick.
Verse 7. And their feet were straight.
And their feet were straight. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I start that over, sir?
Go ahead. You're good.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 7.
Read.
And their feet were straight feet.
Read on.
And the sole of their feet was like a sole of a calf's foot.
Okay. So again, a different type of creature for a different type of purpose. It's got straight feet. A calf's foot, what does that look like? It's just it's all together. They don't really have like toes, do they? They don't really got
a calf's foot is like a foot, but it's like split, like these are together, but it's like split right here.
Right. Now it's not saying it's literally a calf's foot. It's saying it's like a calf's foot. So it has a property that makes it stay put. That's what it's like. It's a shamar being, right? So doesn't need all the appendages like humans have. It follows a different order of physics than what we do anyway. So it's gonna have a body that can accompany that. What you got for me?
You ever seen a Japanese samurai, and they have like the two long toes?
Oh yeah.
It's like that. It's like that. That's how their feet were. It was straight feet, but it had like it was like a calf's foot split, and that's made for like balance.
That's what I was gonna say. That makes sense because you're talking about the way that's built is for holding your stance.
Yeah.
So that they can hold their stance better. If they clash in swords with somebody, you want to make sure that you're not being budged in any direction that you're not trying to enforce. So it's just saying that this is what it's like that because that's the type of being that it is. Read on.
Like a cat's foot. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass.
Like what?
Burnished brass.
Like what?
Burnished brass.
This being is like burnished brass. Where have we heard that before? A color scripture breakdown, right? When we're talking about the color of Christ, he has the color of burnished brass on his skin. What's it saying? This being shares features that we have. There are some similarities. These are our brothers. But of course, our people are stiff-necked and rebellious. They don't like to take our word for it. So I'm going to have an astronaut, a white man, tell you the exact same thing because this is what he saw.
Okay, but there are beings.
Okay, people have asked me about, I call them vehicles, okay?
Right.
Now, I did not call them objects. That was too neuter for me.
Okay.
I had a Stanford professor said you ought to call them objects. No. They have all of the qualities of a vehicle. Mm-hmm. They can move. You know, they're just like a missile or anything like that. So that much we can say about them, for sure.
Okay.
So I'm calling it a vehicle.
Okay.
Okay, somebody comes along and says, well, now where would you manufacture one that's 2.5 Earth lengths long? And that's a hard question to answer.
So are you not positing the idea that those vehicles contain, beings who are, maybe like us?
Yeah, I only go along with government images. And if you want to know about people kind of thing, there is the ship that picked up the Voyager capsule at Alameda Naval Shipyard, and they have a picture there of I think it's the Apollo flight that Buzz and Neil were on. But anyway, there is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black. Yeah.
Were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
Well, what?
it's safe. 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Have you heard about Clark McClellan's statement about that?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Have you ever been in touch with him?
No.
No?
There is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black. Yeah.
Were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
Well, what?
it's safe. 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Right. So it played through, and then it replayed that last part where he was talking about what those beings look like. First, I want to talk about one thing. He said that when he was in there, he seen a vehicle the size of the Earth. The size of the Earth, like 1.5 times the size of the entire Earth. And she was asking, where could you manufacture something like that? He was like, I don't know. That's above our pay grade. It's above our understanding. And then she goes to ask him about the beings inside of the vessels. And he was referring to Buzz Aldrin and what they saw. And they saw beings with dark skin. Read verse 7 one more time. And we're going to see this. This is the truth. This is what the scripture says. Go ahead.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 7. And their feet were straight feet.
Mm-hmm.
And the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot.
Of a calf's foot. Read on.
And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass.
Like the color of burnished brass. Now, it doesn't get more straight up than that. We know that burnished brass is going to be what color? Black. We just heard the astronauts say that they saw black people getting off of the ship. They saw man-like beings getting off of that ship. Now, go ahead and go to verse 14. Let's just get that real quick.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 14.
Read.
And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning.
So these things are fast. You understand? Like, you think Usain Bolt is fast? This thing right here is built for speed. The same way that it can be in a vessel that moves instantly, all these different directions. Like we saw the video in Jerusalem, this thing went whoop, straight up. If you was on the Scream or other rides at Six Flags Fiesta Texas that went up that fast, you probably die, okay? Because the Scream moves fast enough, and that gives you a lot of G-force. This thing is going like, whoop, and it can handle that kind of speed. We're reading in verse 14 that it moves really fast. Why? Because it wants to get its orders done quick. It's built for it. It could do it, and that's what it's there to do. It's there to get things done. It's handling its business. You understand? And that's why I want to show you that clip. Not because we believe what the white man says. He always lies and stuff. But that guy was scared to say that. He was afraid to say it. He was reluctant to say it. He didn't want to say it. It's like he didn't want to believe it. This shows just how afraid they are once they start to see that. And they know they can't have the everyday black man find out that these are our brothers. You know how empowering that would be to know that? How empowering that would be. You would give up pork like that. If you knew that those were the beings there, if that came out on the news, that these were black people in these chariots out here, black people would get off drugs instantly. You know what I'm saying? That type of influence, knowing that that's what awaits for us, that that's what's created for us, our brothers there to protect us. If they read these scriptures, it turned their whole life around. Well, guess what? These scriptures are here, and we're going over these scriptures to let you know that those beings in the sky are showing brotherhood by following the Most High's orders. And there's going to come a time where they are given orders to destroy our enemies. And that is why they are built to look like they are on fire. That's why they are built to look like powerful entities. That's why they are built to handle very aggressive maneuvers. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I feel like that makes perfect sense. You know what I'm talking about? Like that's just where we're at right now. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back to Isaiah. We'll go ahead and drop that. Let's get back to Isaiah. We're going to read verse 16 now. This time we're going to understand exactly what it's talking about when we read that. All right, go ahead.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 16. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh.
And the Most High is being ironic with it. He doesn't have to beg with all flesh. He doesn't have to plead. He's convincing them with force, with power, with beings that are built for war that he is commanding. And guess what? He is more powerful than those beings. He created them. So don't underestimate the Most High's strength when his army is more capable than anything that we've ever seen on this earth. You understand that? We're dealing with the Most High's army right here. And it is saying right here, it is decreeing that they are going to be bringing destruction on this earth. And that's why they put in the movies that these alien invasions are something that we need to band together to fight against. No, No, they're here to save you, Israel. Black man, Hispanic man, Native American man, it's the same thing.
That's right.
What you need to do right now is understand that you need to follow orders too.
Right.
Just like these mighty ones are following God's orders. You don't think they want to save that brother getting shot in the street? You best believe they want to save him. But they have orders to follow because we still have a lesson that we need to learn in this form here on earth. So I suggest you get with the program before the decree is brought forth and you become a part of that destruction that the Most High is going to order those beings to cause on this planet. I hope you understand that.
Right.
Let's go ahead and show you. I'm going to show you one more. I'm going to show you this one right here. This one right here is purely, you just got to see it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I got another clip for you guys, all right? Last one. And we're going to get a couple more scriptures. But this one right here is from one of my favorite television series. It's on the History Channel. So be in mind that this is something that's on the History Channel. Watch this.
Situation in Fark. Got into a dogfight with an alien craft.
Get down there right away.
I need you to meet with someone first. Name's Dr. J. Allen Hynek.
You want me to investigate flying saucers?
I want you to help me prove to the public the truth. They don't exist.
Henry Fuller?
You want to tell me what happened up there?
I wasn't in control. The light flew for me, like it was showing me what it could do.
Logically, that's not possible.
Logic can't begin to explain what we're dealing with here.
You don't actually believe an inch of this could be for real, do you?
The probability of us being alone in our universe is 0.
What the hell just happened?
Need I remind you of our purpose here?
Flying saucers don't exist.
That's right.
But even when the truth flies right over your head, it's still impossible to believe.
Tell me what the hell's going on.
What's in this trunk here will help you to convince more people, the right people.
Operation Ivy. The hell's that?
Ivy is the code name for a top-secret thermonuclear weapons test in the South Pacific. We had 2 successes and 1 failure. Now we know why. I need the president to see this before the Joint Chiefs have him make a horrible mistake.
They're back.
The president is scrambling F-94s with orders to engage if need be.
I'd like to be up there, sir. No one's better qualified at this stage. I need to see what these things are. Get close.
Pilots, stay sharp.
Captain, what happened after you engaged with this unidentified aircraft?
I locked in, fired, hit it multiple times. All it did was grow brighter.
I'm losing visual.
Then it was gone.
I hope the video wasn't too choppy, but that's basically I compiled that together as a clip, just a short preview of a show called Project Blue Book on the History Channel, where it takes place in the I believe the 50s. It's in the 50s regarding the government program to try to cover up the fact that UFOs existed. Of course, that's how they started. They didn't want people to know what they were because they didn't understand what they were. And here we are in 2021. They still don't know what they are. They still can't explain what they are. And they sure as that can't compete with them. Because, again, Esau doesn't like to admit when he can't win. That's why he doesn't want you to know about it. Project Blue Book, I just like because it's a little bit more accurate than most stuff you see out there. We're seeing the flying rolls. We're seeing them flying in formation, like it said in Isaiah 31:5, how they flying together like birds. You're seeing that. You're seeing that on the cinema now. It's like they trying to mix the real with the fake. They throw some goofy stuff in there too. But, of course, that's just what's expected. I just wanted to trim the fat, show you an example of something that is in the media now that is starting to say, you know what? Yeah, this is real. But guess what? I don't need none of that to believe the truth of the Bible. It's right in front of us anyways. We're seeing it in real life. I've seen them in real life. I was posted up with my brother in front of his apartment years ago. This was 2012. We were looking in the sky and we saw a flying roll in the air. It went across the sky like this and went up. And I looked at it. I looked at my brother. I was like, "You see that?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm looking at it." He was kind of nervous, and I'm like, "Nah, that's one of our brothers right there, man." And I gave it the salute, and I just hope that he, had the chance to appreciate that a brother down here on the earth recognizes what he is and what his purpose is. And thank you for your service. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a brother that's holding post. I've seen that multiple times. Not going to get into all those details. I'm just letting you know there are brothers in the ISUPK that have seen them. But we know what they are now. And when they are given the order to do what needs to be done, we are not to be interfering with that. If anything, expect them to help you if you are a righteous person. Right now, your job is to be righteous. Your job is to continue to fight to be a better person, to be worthy of somebody that the Most High will send these chariots to save. You understand? Right. Now, let's go ahead and get Ecclesiasticus chapter 3, verses 18 and 19.
Ecclesiasticus?
Yeah, in the Apocrypha. Let me get that with you. Ecclesiasticus. Because what we just saw in Project Blue Book, we had government officials, generals of the United States Air Force. Mind you, Donald Trump created a space force, right? Created a space force because this is something that they're trying to desperately address in the middle of a pandemic where they're already using they're maxing out their credit cards for the whole country, making the debt ceiling go up, and they still need to find money that doesn't even exist, money they don't even have, to try to fund something to try to do something about this. That's what the Space Force is for, right? I'll play the clip again, but I have the volume off just so you can check out the visuals of those that are just now tuning in. Project Blue Book on the History Channel. If you ain't messing with it, I recommend it. It's a good watch. I mean, it's media. It's whatever. All right. So again, Ecclesiasticus chapter 3 and verse 18. Go ahead.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3, verse 18.
Read on.
The greater thou art, the more humble thyself.
When we start to learn this knowledge, let us not be boastful about understanding what this means. This isn't no nanny, nanny, boo, boo. I know more than you do. This ain't what this is about. We need to be humble about understanding what this is. You know what I'm saying? We need to make sure that we are taking heed to the warnings that the Most High is showing us when he's giving us this delicate information, these secrets, these mysteries that governments don't understand. Read on.
And thou shalt find favor before the Lord.
Stay humble. Next verse. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Many are in high place and of renown.
Many are of high place and of renown, like what you see in the government, what you see in the media, presidents, right? Kings, rulers of this earth. Read on.
But mysteries are revealed unto the meek.
That's right. Mysteries are revealed unto the meek. We need to stay humble. We need to stay meek, knowing the truth of the Bible. It's very important that we do not operate with pride and boastfulness, that we understand these mysteries. Technically, these are milk scriptures. These are things that you should know. But we take things like this, and brothers go out there in the world and they talking about all kinds of crazy mess, conspiracy theories and Nephilim and all that. There's simplicity in Christ, okay? You don't need to go out there and come up with all these different doctrines about, aliens and alien grays and MK Ultra and all this goofy stuff, right? You're just going to be the next Alex Jones.
Right.
Don't be doing all that. Stick with the scriptures. Understand that these are your brothers. These are chariots. These are part of the Most High's army that we're talking about when we're reading these scriptures. Okay? And in doing so, the Most High is going to continue to show you his mysteries, his secrets. Was that the end of that verse?
Come.
All right, go ahead and drop that. Let's get it. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16.
1 Thessalonians?
Yes, sir.
Chapter 4, verse 13.
I'll go ahead and remove this video. Let's see. It's making it lag. There we go. I have to get more RAM in this thing. Can we expand the RAM in this computer?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do it. We'll do it if we can.
It's lucky. I don't know. You're the computer guy.
It's a good computer.
When you said RAM, I thought truck.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. Hold on, let me catch up with you. It's lucky.
For verse 16?
Yeah. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout.
With a shout. Go ahead.
With the voice of the archangel and with
Go ahead.
And with the trump of God.
No, not Donald Trump. For you Christians out there. For you Republicans out there. That's not what this is talking about. It's talking about the Most High announcing himself to the planet with power. We read in, what was it, back in Isaiah 31 and 5 about how the angels are like birds in the sky and how they're going to deliver us. Right? We read about in the scriptures, I believe it was what was it, also in Isaiah, where it talks about us being read that one more time, Salaki. Read that one more time.
The book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout.
With a shout, announcement. Go ahead.
With the voice of the archangel.
20,000 chariots, thousands of angels. And guess who the highest ranked ones are? The archangels. Okay, read on.
And with the trump of God.
And with the trump of YAHAWAH. Read verse 18. Oh, Salaki, verse 17.
We're not done with that one.
Oh, keep going. This just gets better and better.
And the dead in Christ shall rise first.
Shall rise first. Those of us that are not alive. Those of us that are asleep. Those that believe the truth. They're going to be first. Make sure that this occurs in your lifetime, Israel. How many lifetimes is it going to take for us to get this right? Let us come together as a nation and unite and stay strong for our people that need us. Those of us that we've lost. Those of us that we would love to see again. Our kingdom is going to be brought here on earth, but it is going to be done through warfare. Read.
The book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17.
Go ahead.
Then
let's lock here. Go read that one more time from 16. Let's just go ahead and start from 16 one more time.
The book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16.
Read.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel.
Go ahead.
And with the trump of God.
The trumpets in Revelation is talking about the end times. Read on.
And the dead in Christ shall rise first.
Right. There will be a changing of forms. Remember, the scripture says the secret is we will not all sleep, but we will all be changed. Okay, read on.
Verse 17. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together.
Shall be caught up together where?
With them in the clouds.
With them in the clouds. Do you understand what that's talking about now, Israel? It's talking about those chariots. It's talking about those whirlwinds, those flying rolls that are a curse to our enemies because they are your allies. They are your brothers. They are ordered to follow the commands of the Most High, and they will be caught up together with you in the clouds. Read on.
To meet the Lord in the air.
You're going to meet the Most High in the air, and that's the vehicle that's going to get you there. Keep going.
And so shall we ever be with the Lord.
And we're going to be with the Most High. We're going to be comforted. We're not going to be drug dealers anymore. We're not going to be criminals and hoes with the OnlyFans account. We're not going to be fools that are enslaved to where we barely making ends meet, barely making the rent pay, barely keeping our relationships together, barely keeping our kids out of trouble. You understand? All that stuff, all that sci-fi stuff, all the monotonous that comes from the cartoons, everything we're brainwashed to just absorb and consume every single day. All that's going to be gone because we're going to be brought up in the clouds with the Most High, man. Wouldn't you look forward to that day rather than any other day?
Right.
That's the day that we want to see in the ISUPK. And now it's time for you to completely understand these scriptures so that you too can be caught up together in the clouds with us. Because we in the ISUPK believe that in our repentance, we may just so earn a spot on that chariot. It might just swing low just for you. You understand? It might just do that. And if it does, you are definitely going to see a different planet.
Right.
You're going to have a different experience on this earth. You and the people that passed away, that you love, that you miss. Fight for that day. And the Lord will fight for you in that day. You understand? Was that the end of that? Put this in the cloud. Oh, go ahead. Read verse 18. Just real quick.
Verse 18. Wherefore comfort one another with these words.
And that's what we're doing here. We're comforting you with these words. These words are fire. These words are talking about war. We're talking about destruction. We're talking about the destruction of everything that you know on this earth. And yet it's comforting to know that because the condition that we live in here is not ideal. It's not. The pain that we go through is not ideal. We should be thriving and pushing for this day to occur. Let's get the Lord's day to occur on this earth and stop worrying about our petty strives and things that we deal with on our daily lives. You understand? That's what we want to do, Israel, because the sooner we get to that, the sooner that you're going to be able to be reunited with your nation. And it's going to be done through chariots. It's going to be done through the angels of the Most High. And it may not be a pretty sight, but it will be a glorious sight. I pray you understand. 2 more scriptures. We're going to get real quick. We're just going to get Matthew chapter 24, verse 30. Again, the Most High is definitely in play with all of this. But how can we forget our main man, YAHAWAH? We follow his orders. Okay? And the righteous order of a household is that a woman follows her man, and that man follows Christ. And when we do this right, the end result is glorious. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 30. Read.
Matthew 24 and verse 30.
Come on, sir.
The book of Matthew chapter 24 verse 30.
Go ahead.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
Come on now.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
Then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. Read on.
And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of the heaven with great power. Oh, sorry. Kim, let me start.
Go ahead, take time.
And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
And great glory. You understand what I'm talking about now?
Ooh-wee.
Now when we read that great glory and that power, let your mind think of those movies you grew up seeing. But now think about black people. Think about the black man coming in through the sky and saving your people. That should be your hero, not Spider-Man. That's a good movie. But that ain't our hero.
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah, I heard. It shouldn't be Spider-Man. It shouldn't be Thor. It's YAHAWAH. It's Christ. Let's not forget that that's the real hero here. Because that's what's good. He's going to be the one with the army of the Most High, with those clouds, with those flying rolls. You understand? With those whirlwinds, with those chariots. Then thousands of chariots. Then millions of angels. Terrible to look upon, fearful for our enemies, but glorious and comforting for us to see. Because when we see that, that's how you know. That's how you know you made it. Let's pray that we take care of each other and love each other to make sure that that day is a day we can enjoy. It will be a day of mourning. That's true. It will be a day of confusion for many people that do not understand. But the more that you lock into this truth, you are going to understand exactly what your purpose is on this earth. So I suggest that you get with the program. Go ahead and drop that.
So, like, is there, can I read verse 31?
Okay, please do.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 31.
Go ahead.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the one end of the heaven to the other.
Come on now. That's the end of that?
Yes, it is.
Woo, read that again.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of trumpet.
Go ahead.
And they shall gather together his elect.
The what?
Gather together his elect.
His what?
His elect.
His what?
His elect.
Who are you trying to be in this truth? You're trying to be his elect. You have the opportunity to be part of the Most High's elect. Fight for that. Because that is going to be who Christ prioritizes when he saves us from this place, from the destruction that's going to happen on this planet. Those of you that are gone, you may not have to deal with that calamity. But those of you that remain, that are still alive to see that day, make sure that you are favored by the Most High. Make sure that you are part of the elect or part of the families of Israel that he decides to show mercy on. Read.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other.
That's right. That's the thing that you need to keep in mind. The Most High put these chariots across the whole planet to prepare for that time, to prepare for the time to save us from the calamity, from the destruction. So do not be afraid. Be comforted by these words. The scripture says it. The Most High ordains to prepare for war. You know why? Because he loves you. And he's giving you that mercy. And so we're going to end the class different. We're going to do this in a good way. We're going to end on a prayer. It's going to be in Ecclesiasticus chapter 36. Ecclesiasticus chapter 36. Let us make sure that the Most High hears our prayer for his mercy. Let him know that we are humble with the knowledge that he's given us, from the mysteries that he's showing us, that the whole world is still confused about. But we have the opportunity to know better, so that we could choose to be righteous, so that we can be favored by him in the time that the Most High ordains for everything to go crazy, to go into chaos, that there will be order, and that his angels will be making sure that you are safe. Ecclesiastes chapter 36, verses 1 through 17. You just got to read through it. It speaks for itself. Go ahead.
The book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 36, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Have mercy upon us, O Lord God of all, and behold us. Verse 2. And send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee.
Damn right. Go ahead.
Lift up thy hand against the strange nations.
That's right.
And let them see thy power.
That's the power we're talking about. But this whole class is about the mighty ones of YAHAWAH and the strength of the Lord. Go ahead.
Verse 4. As thou wast sanctified in us before them, so be thou magnified among them before us.
That's heavy. Keep going.
Verse 5. And let them know thee as we have known thee, that there is no God but only thou, O God.
I'm right. Keep going.
Verse 6. Shew new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works.
Keep going.
Verse 7. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath.
That's that wrath we were talking about earlier. That rebuke by the Lord, by his army. Go on.
Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy.
Read on.
Verse 8. Sake the time short.
Say what?
Sake the time short.
What does it say?
Sake the time short.
It says sake. What does it say?
Yeah, sake the time short.
It should say make, but go ahead.
Remember the covenant.
Damn right.
And let them declare thy wonderful works.
Go ahead.
Let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire.
Read on.
And let them perish that oppress the people.
Come on.
Verse 10. Smite and sunder the heads of the ruler of the heathen that say, there is none other but we.
What do they say?
There is none other but we.
The Most High is to smite and sunder the heads of the rulers that say, ain't nobody gonna touch us. Read on.
Gather all the tribes of Jacob together.
What?
Gather all the tribes of Jacob together.
One more time.
Gather all the tribes of Jacob together.
Read on.
And inherit thou them.
Go ahead.
As from the beginning.
As from the beginning. That's how it's always supposed to be. What verse is that?
Verse 11.
Okay, we're going to 17. Keep going.
Verse 12. O Lord, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel, whom thou hast named thy firstborn. Verse 13. O be merciful unto Jerusalem, thy holy city, the place of thy rest. Verse 14. Fill Sion with thine unspeakable oracles, and thy people with thy glory. Verse 15. Give testimony unto those thou hast possessed from the beginning, and raised up prophets that have been in thy name.
Damn right.
Verse 16. Reward them that wait for thee, and let thy prophets be found faithful.
Damn right. Where you gonna find them? They're right here in the school. You ain't gonna find them anywhere else. Read on.
Verse 17. O Lord, hear the prayer of thy servants, according to the blessings of Aaron over thy people.
Damn right.
That all thy which dwell upon earth may know that thou art the Lord.
That's the prayer right there.
The eternal God.
That is a prayer for the apocalypse by Israel that was ordained since the time of Moses and Aaron. You understand? That's what we were praying for. That's what the ISUPK is making sure that we get to that day. You know why? Because that's the day that the Most High has been waiting for. We'll be making sure to get to that day, brick by brick, soldier by soldier, chariot by chariot, messenger, prophet by prophet. And it takes for us to get to these scriptures precept upon precept. So that's what we've done here today is we've gone precept upon precept. We've shown you the videos. We might have to, next time we do this topic, we'll get into articles. But the videos, I want you to keep in mind because visualize this is true. Visualize this book because this book belongs to you, Israel. And the secrets and the mysteries of everything that has led up to this. Understanding. But everything that in this world, all the confusion about what these chariots are for, what they're here to do, what they are they aliens? Are they angels? What are they? Now we know because the scriptures give us comfort. The scriptures give us hope. And the most important thing to keep in mind about this particular topic, these mighty ones are here to save you. They are the instrument of our salvation. They are your brothers. So show some respect if you ever see one. And show some respect for the Most High by being obedient to him. Because for the longest time, atheists and heathens have been trying to say that God doesn't exist. Where's the proof? There's your proof. Because the Bible says right here that those are the chariots of his army. There's your proof. So with that, I pass the class over to Precinct Officer Bar.
This is the ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother and sister comes into the school, they are to be saluted. They are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from their head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 to the 21st verse, or Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Ma'ashera means tenth in the Hebrew. 10% of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or a teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever the amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Feast of Purim, the 14th day of the 15th, the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month. Monday, 14th February, and Tuesday, the 15th February of 2022. You can find this in Esther chapter 9, verses 20 through 31. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, scarf. And this concludes the security announcement.
Prayers, go ahead and do prayers. Prayer.
First, we're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Shemka.
Shemka.
YAHAWAH.
YAHAWAH.
Malakwatka.
Malakwatka.
Taba'ah.
Taba'ah.
Ratazarka.
Ratazarka.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Ba'arataza.
Ba'arataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Bashamayim.
Bashamayim.
Lathananawa.
Lathananawa.
Lacham.
Lacham.
Kal.
Kal.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalaklanawa.
Wasalaklanawa.
Kabawathwanawa.
Kabawathanawa.
Kasalaklanawa.
Kasalaklanawa.
Kabawathiyanawa.
Kabawathanawa.
Walala.
Walala.
Taba'ayanawa.
Tabi'ayanawa.
Banasayawan.
Banasayawan.
Abal.
Abal.
Hayashayanawa.
Hawashayanawa.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Ra.
Rai.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Lakah.
Lakah.
Amalakwa.
Amalakwa.
Wala Allah.
Waha'ala.
Wata pa'arah.
Watha pa'arah.
Lai walamyam.
I will love you.
Amon.
Amon.
You want to do the English?
Yeah, sure. What we said was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
YAHAWAH.
YAHAWAH.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth. As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day.
Our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not.
And lead us not.
Unto temptation.
Unto temptation.
But deliver us.
But deliver us.
From evil.
From evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
So be it.
So be it. You got it?
All right, we're going to give the brothers one courtesy salute. Men of Israel. Ahmad Shabbat. Ahmadim. Barak. YAHAWAH Shem Yahushua Barakatham. Yadi Matah. We'll give the sisters one courtesy salute. Men of Israel. Ahmad Shabbat. Ahmadim. Barak. YAHAWAH Shem Shem Yahushua. Yadi Matah. Class dismissed.